And we will begin with Shavasana. Let's lay down all the way onto our backs, beginning with some relaxation. As we come down to the floor, we just lengthen out the legs, relax our arms down by our sides. We can close our eyes. I want us just to start to focus on our breathing. Breathing in and out through the nose. Noticing ourselves calming down. We also become aware of if we feel twisted or tilted in any way, trying to stay flat on the ground with a neutral spine, even legs and arms. I want us to notice our diaphragm now, that balloon that lives underneath our bellies. As we take our next big breath in, lifting that diaphragm, which causes the stomach, the ribs, the chest to come higher. And on that exhale, the balloon starts to deflate and we feel the body melting into the ground. Take a couple nice slow breaths, inflating and deflating that balloon. This helps clear our mind, relax the body, and slow everything down. On our next inhale, let's reach those arms long up over our head. Big stretch out. Notice if we're feeling anything through the shoulders, the rib cage, the back. Because we've opened up the rib cage, we might be able to take bigger, fuller, deeper breaths. We'll slowly start to draw those knees into the chest now, holding onto the shins, or perhaps it feels better to hold under the knees on the thighs. And we'll start to rock side to side, massaging our lower backs, meeting at our hips as we hug onto those knees. Just noticing how we're feeling today. When's the last time we checked in with ourselves? Scanning the body, asking ourselves, how am I? Something great about yoga. Now, as we hold the knees into the chest, go ahead and roll our ankles, working through the toes, the arches, releasing any cricks or cracks in the joints, encouraging blood flow all the way down to those little toes. We'll get ready to single out our stretch, holding both hands onto the right knee, lowering that left leg all the way down to the ground, and then taking that right leg and open it out towards our right shoulder. Nothing too big. We still want to relax both right and left shoulder, right and left hip down onto the floor. Working on slowing our breathing. Feel free to keep your eyes closed the entire time we're doing this. Slowly draw the knee over towards the left shoulder, still hugging the thigh in towards the belly. And then we'll bring that leg in through the middle and release all the way down to the ground. Drawing the left knee into the chest, open the knee out towards that left shoulder, pressing the right leg down into the mat. We want to start to become more aware of how the hips feel this morning. Slowly drawing the knee over towards the right shoulder now. Stretching in through the outside of that left hip. And we'll release that leg in and down. Taking the feet flat onto the floor, drawing the feet in nice and close to the hips. Taking a few glute bridges to activate through the hips and the abdominal muscles. Arms are on either side, pressing into the ground. Let's inhale, lift the hips up to the ceiling. And exhale, slowly roll down, one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, lift the hips up, pressing the heels, the toes into the ground equally. Slowly lower, exhale. Inhale, lifting our hips. Exhale, release. And one more time. Inhale, lifting the hips up. And exhale, lower down. Taking both legs up, knees are 90 degrees, shins are parallel with the floor. Elbows are wide as the fingers come to side of head. We'll take an abdominal prep position, tucking the chin, lifting head and shoulders up. And now with our toe taps, we'll inhale, tap the right foot to the ground. Exhale, lift. Inhale, tap left. Exhale, lift. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale. Inhale, right. Keep the abs strong. Exhale, lift the knee. Inhale, left. Exhale, one more each side. Inhale, right. Exhale, lift. Inhale, left. Exhale. Take the feet down. Relax the head. Arms are down by our sides. From here, I'll ask that we roll over onto our side and pick up onto hands and knees. Good. So coming into all hands and knees, we'll draw hands directly beneath shoulders, knees right underneath our hips, belly buttons in, backs are flat. Finding tabletop position, preparing for spinal balance. Reach the right arm forward and bring the left leg out behind. Nice straight line, lowering it down. Inhale, left arm and right leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Exhale, long neutral necks. Inhale, left. Exhale. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale. One more each side. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, holding tabletop, taking cows and cats. We inhale, lift the eyes, open the chest into cow. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, draw the bellies in, round the backs to cat. Inhale, untuck the tailbone, open the chest. Exhale, round the back. One more in each. Inhale, opening up through cow, lifting tall through crown of head. Exhale, round the backs to cat. Pressing back in through child's pose. Sink the hips back down into towards the heels. We can extend the arms forward as we stretch the back, stretch the shoulders, and rest the head. Couple of breaths here, noticing how this feels on the feet, the knees, the hips, the backs. Coming into our modified flow series. We inhale forward into our kneeling plank. Knees are on the ground, shoulders stacked above wrists. Slowly lower with elbows brushing the rib cage. Press straight up, keeping our backs flat. Push back into child's pose. We'll do this flow 3 more times. Inhale forward, kneeling plank. Exhale, slow lower, only as far as we can control as we inhale, press straight up. Exhale, push back. Inhale forward. Exhale into baby crocodile. Inhale, press straight up into plank. Exhale, push back into child. One more time. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press straight up. Exhale, pushing back, resting in child's. Forward in through our tabletop position as we sweep our right foot forward to runner's lunge. Stacking the knee directly on top of the ankle. We lift up, making sure the hips aren't twisted or tilted, but we're nice and even here. Reach the arms up tall above the head. Relax the shoulders and start to lean just a little bit forward into that knee. Try to avoid the stomach leaning forward, keeping the belly button pulled in. As we hold this position, I'll encourage that we close our eyes, stretching open that back hip. Take one more big inhale. Exhale, release the hands down. Sweep through tabletop, bringing the left foot forward. Stacking knee above ankle. Take our time as we lift up, opening up that back hip. Reach the arms nice and tall. Shoulders come down. Abdominal muscles zip high. Again, let's see if we're able to close our eyes, stretching that back hip, finding our balance, controlling our breathing. One more inhale. Exhale, release the hands down, sweep the knee back, and then curl the toes, lifting up for downward facing dog. Pressing away from our hands, we're going to lift the tailbone nice and high to the sky, and as we look back at our feet, see if we're able to drop the heels towards the floor. As we hold down dog, just noticing if we need to soften the knees a bit. Now let's shake the head no. Loosen up the neck, lots of space between shoulders and ears. Nod the head yes. Paddle at the feet, walking the dog right foot to left foot. Coming into our next flow series. From down dog, we'll glue the heels down towards the floor. We inhale forward into plank. Now we can take our knees to the ground in modified plank if we'd prefer. Exhale, chaturanga, slow lower to the ground. Inhale, scooping up cobra, baby or full. And exhale, press back into down dog. Child's pose if you'd prefer. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, lift up into cobra. Exhale, press back into down dog or child. Inhaling forward, finding that control. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press back. One more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, press back. Down dog or child. Hold it here for a moment. Good. And now walk our hands and feet together. Coming up halfway to monkey stretch. Flatten out our back, making sure that we could balance a cup of tea on our spine as we draw those shoulders together. Hands touch ever so gently against shins or thighs. Noticing a little bit of a pull up the back of our legs. And then transfer our weight into our heels as we find chair. Chair is a really nice squat. Opening the chest, shoulders pulling back, sitting in through those heels. Feeling our heart starting to raise just a little bit. Working those big muscle groups. Take a big inhale, sweep the arms up nice and high. And exhale, release. Oh, very nice. Standing tall in mountain pose. We're going to start at the very top of our mat, which is the short edge. Placing the feet roughly hips width distance apart. Softening the knees. Roll the shoulders down. Zip up all the way through the torso, tall through the crown of our head. Let's take a couple of big breaths here. Notice how it feels to stand tall, stand proud, feeling very strong, grounded through the feet. Preparing for warrior one. We're going to keep our right foot glued to the top of the mat, sweep our left foot behind us. Hips and shoulders face forward, the same direction as your big right toe and right knee. Bending that right knee, let's glue that back foot down to the floor, the whole foot, heel and toes. Arms lift up tall, draw those shoulders down. Now, if for any reason anybody feels the shoulders are not loving that position, we find heart center instead. Continuing to hold warrior one. Let's bring those bellies in. See if we're able to close our eyes today. Slow breath in and out. Now from here, we're going to start to straighten out that front leg. Hands to the hips. And hinge forward into pyramid. Doesn't have to go very far. We want to keep the back flat. The sternum, the center of our chest, faces straight to the front of the knee. We can take the hands to that front leg, the foot, or maybe down to the floor. Not necessary to come down to the ground though. Feeling a stretch up the back of that front leg. Notice how slow we can work our breath, how straight we can keep our backs. Notice what this feels like. Where do we feel the stretch happening? Just become aware of it. Notice how it feels today. Preparing to come into our balanced half moon. I want us to bend that front knee, taking our hands to the ground, walking them forward, lifting our back leg up. So now we've got that right leg perpendicular to the ground, and our left leg is working towards parallel. We can stay here in this tripod position. For those of us who want to open up to the moon, we open the hip and open that top arm. So now we're facing our back wall, if you will. Stacking hips on top of other hip and stacking our top shoulder now on top of our bottom right shoulder. Everyone together, let's take that final big inhale. Exhale all the way back into warrior one. Lifting our arms up really nice and strong. Good. From here, I want us to open up into warrior two. We turn to the side, bending forward into that right knee, opening our arms, opening our hips, and bending in to that right foot just a little bit more. Really strong through the middle, very strong with the arms. So as we stand here in warrior two, let's imagine how flat we can be, trying to really draw that right knee back behind us. Let's take side angle. Bend the right elbow onto the thigh, left arm up to the ceiling. We double check that we're not ever leaning into our arm by taking our hand and just reaching it forward. Good. Every now and then, just reaching it forward, making sure that we're not leaning, we're using the muscles in the legs and the core to do the work. Really nice stretch for that inner thigh. Take one more big inhale, lift all the way up to warrior two. Slow control spiral all the way down, waterfall through lunge. Step that foot back into plank. Chaturanga all the way to the mat. Scooping up with an inhale to cobra. Very nice, everyone. Let's press back into down dog when you're ready. Child's pose for anyone who would prefer child's. Couple of big breaths. And then we walk our hands and feet together. Coming up halfway into monkey. From here, let's transfer weight into our heels. Open the chest into chair. But a little bit lower than we did the first time if we're able to. Weight back in the heels, toes are light. Big inhale, lift all the way up to prayer. And exhale, release. Good. Reestablishing mountain pose. We step to the top of our mat again. Shoulders down. Feeling all 10 toes in and out edge of the heels, pressing into the ground, lifting up proudly. This time our right foot steps back behind us as we stand in warrior one with our left foot forward. Make sure that both hips and both shoulders are facing to the front, same direction as our left kneecap. Lift our arms up, whether they stay above the head or come down through heart center. We want that back leg turned open just a little bit so we can really press that heel down into the ground. Lifting up really nice and tall, let's close our eyes if we're comfortable doing so and focus on our breathing. Big inhale, followed by a full exhale. Find our balance. Stretch that back ankle up through the calf. One more big inhale. On our exhale, just release those arms down. Hands to the hips as we straighten out our leg, finding pyramid stretch. Flat back as we hinge forward. Nice soft knee. As soon as we feel a stretch, we just stop there. Maybe it's a little bit higher, maybe it's lower than the other side. Every time we take an inhale, we make a little bit of an adjustment. And exhale, we can release down. Again, let's try to keep our backs nice and flat. It's going to help make the stretch more effective. a little bit longer here. Preparing for our balance pose. We'll start to soften the knee as we walk our hands forward, only as far as letting that left leg become perpendicular, like a tall building standing erect. That right leg is just out the back, working towards parallel. Staying in tripod, or for those of us wanting to come into balance moon, we open up that right hip to stack it on top of left, and lift that right hand up nice and high if you're able to. Holding this balanced position as best we can. Have fun with it, try not to be too critical on ourselves. Taking one more inhale, and exhale, slow return into warrior one. Finding our balance on 2 feet, arms are tall, opening up through warrior two. Inch that foot back just a little bit farther as we bend forward into our left knee. Hips and shoulders strong as they face forward, arms intentional. Making sure we're not just holding them out, but purposely, intentionally reaching energy out. Now finding that side angle position. Left elbow comes towards the thigh. Again, it's just there for show. Nice 90-degree angle as the top arm is there, held strongly towards the sky. If anyone's shoulder doesn't like this, just take the hand in the back pocket instead. Still working on opening up across the chest. Take that last big inhale, lift up taller. And now exhale, slow spiral, waterfall down through lunge, stepping back in through plank. Taking ourselves down in through chaturanga. Scooping in through cobra. Long through the back. Soft through the elbows and shoulders. Pressing back in through down dog or child's pose. Enjoying this stretch. Taking a moment to notice how down dog feels right now as compared to at the beginning of our practice. Even just doing a few stretches in between, we've been able to open ourselves up a little bit more. Lengthening the backs of the legs, giving space through hips and shoulders. Preparing to come into pigeon. We lift that right foot high up to the sky, kicking the foot up through to that left hand, releasing the knee down towards the right hand. Let's press the left leg back behind us, look over the left shoulder, make sure it's actually behind us, it hasn't wandered. And then we release, whether we stay up on hands, come down onto elbows, or relax down all the way onto our fists. Let's make sure that we haven't twisted or tilted in any way. Sometimes the inclination is to lean over to that right side. That steals the pose away from us. Let's try to make sure we're balancing our weight right in the center of both hips. Breathing slowly. Slowly taking our hands back up onto the ground. Taking both feet back into down dog or child's for those of us preferring child's today. Really imagine lifting the tailbone up now as we open the hamstrings just a bit more, stretching through the backs of the legs, releasing those heels as close to the floor as they'll go. Taking pigeon with the left foot, we lift that leg up high to the sky, kicking it all the way up into that right wrist if we're able to. Knee comes towards the left. Straightening out that leg in the back, check over the right shoulder to make sure we know exactly where it is. And then whether we stay high up on hands or come lower onto elbows or even resting heads on the hands themselves. Double check that we feel balanced and centered as we slow our breathing. Slowly coming back up onto our hands and down dog or child's pose once more. Enjoy this stretch, whether you're holding it still or if you're moving in it at all, that's up to you. We'll come forward and through plank, chaturanga to lower ourselves completely onto our stomach. As we prepare to stretch our shoulders in scorpion, we reach the arms out to either side, making our body turn into the letter T. Now from here, I want us to take a moment, double check our left and right sides, maybe a little wiggle, straightening out, neutralizing the spine, finding that center, and taking next our right hand underneath our right shoulder, bending that right knee, so both right elbow and right knee are bent. We roll over that left arm. The idea is that we take that right foot to the floor, the right knee up to the ceiling. Perhaps if anyone needs more, we then bring both knees up. If that's too much today, just relax that left leg down and maybe even ease off of the shoulder a bit. Really listening to the body. And we can roll onto the stomach again, taking our arms out. If we've moved at all, just wiggle into our neutral space. Left hand comes under the shoulder, left knee bends as we roll over that right side this time. Same idea, you may need to play with it. Perhaps the side is different and responding differently. You may need both legs up or just one. And from scorpion, we lay on the stomach, taking both hands back behind the ribs, reaching up in through a beautiful cobra stretch. Perhaps lifting up even taller, even higher off of those hips, longer through the neck. Pressing back in through child's pose. Feel free to widen the knees as we sit deeper in between the thighs, giving our backs a little bit more room. On our inhale, lifting up through tabletop, turning to the long edge of our mat, finding frog. I like to double my mat by pulling either side in, kind of like I'm folding a sandwich. You just pull either side in to give a little bit more cushion for the knees. Now, as we find tabletop position, we curl the toes in back and start to wiggle those knees out to the side. A little bit more room. As we line knees up with our hips, drawing a straight line through the pelvis, we turn the legs out in the back so that the inside of the feet are on the ground, and then we can rest down onto our elbows. As you come into the position, I'm just going to turn to the side so that you can see another angle. Ensuring that we've got 90-degree angles. We want to avoid trying to just lay forward onto our stomach in a very strange frog-like position, staying instead level and in line through the knees and the hips. This is going to really target the groin and the inner thigh muscles. Try to slow your breathing so we're not in fight or flight. Recognize you can come out of the stretch at any point. And speaking of getting out of the stretch, we're now going to slowly lay forward onto the stomach, wiggle those legs back into place. And as we come all the way up, we're just going to take our time as we lay all the way down onto our backs. Take your time here. And as we come down, I want us to hug the knees into the chest, giving ourselves that big hug, perhaps rocking right to left. Preparing for our final combination of poses in our last effort to extend through the backs. We'll take our feet to the ground, stopping at any progression that feels right today. Arms are on either side of our hips as we drive those heels in as close to the body as they'll come, pressing the feet fully into the floor, lifting up into a bridge pose. Our hips are lifting up, shoulders are pressing down. We're now going to take our hands and either thread them, taking a chest stretch, or for those of us who are able to, hands are going to come on the flat part of our backs, fingers facing towards the feet, walking your toes in a little bit closer, making sure your elbows are really right underneath of us if we're coming into the next portion, which is our shoulder stand. Engaging our abdominal muscles to help pull one knee into the chest at a time. Keep your hands supporting your lower backs to keep the core really engaged and the back straight to the ceiling. Staying here, or if anyone's interested, we can drive those legs straight up to the ceiling. The next level would be if anyone's interested in plow, taking those legs back behind the head. Still supporting the backs with the hands, knowing that we're never resting back on the neck. The head's just stable on the floor as we rest in through the shoulders. Now, all together, coming out of the stretch, if we were in plow, legs come straight up to the ceiling again. And from the ceiling, we bend the knees into the chest, keeping our hands supported. We take one foot down at a time and slowly control the roll down. All together, hugging those knees in and rocking side to side. Releasing all of this with a spinal stretch. Let's bring those knees up 90 degrees, arms out to the side, taking our knees over to the right. Try to release both shoulders onto the ground. We can hold that top leg with the right hand as we look over that left arm. Slowly lifting both knees up to the ceiling. Dropping the knees over towards the left. When they're there, looking over that right arm if it feels good. Try to release both shoulders onto the ground as we stretch down that right side. Inhale, lifting both knees up. And exhale, release the feet to the floor. Arms are coming back into our sides. As we come into our Shavasana position, the final resting state for our practice together today. We can keep the knees bent, or we can straighten the legs out. And as we lengthen the legs, just turning those feet open, relaxing across shoulders. Arms can come down to the ground. Next step is to release the abdomen, allowing the diaphragm to start inflating and deflating more fully and completely, letting the stomach rise and fall with our breathing. Notice that our eyes are closed, our eyelids are relaxed, our eyebrows are soft rather than bunched and furrowed. Notice next our jawline. Are we clenching the jaw? Or have we released the tongue from the roof of our mouth, staying soft through the cheeks, letting the neck and shoulders melt into the ground? Freeing our mind as we let any thoughts just wander past, focusing instead on our breathing. Feeling a sense of gratitude washing over us. As we're laying here comfortably and safely, focusing on our breathing, relaxing our body, calming our mind. We're grateful for the experience, grateful for the opportunity, grateful for our own accountability to work on keeping ourselves happy and healthy and safe. Grateful for our team. What else are we grateful for? Thinking about that now as we slow our breathing even further. From here, we'll start to wiggle our fingers and our toes, reawakening the body as we roll our ankles and wrists in circular directions. Taking any last stretches that we need to take, whether it's knees to chest or windshield wipers, maybe a butterfly. And on our own time, we start to roll over into baby pose, sitting up into our final seated pose, whether it's crisscross, butterfly, or lotus. As we sit up ever so tall, roll those shoulders down, releasing any tension lingering through the neck. Knuckles on the knees, palms open to the sky. Taking our final breath together. Big inhale, reaching arms up above head to prayer. Exhale, coming down through heart center. Thank you very much, everyone.